So today I'm talking to Molly, and she and her husband live in LA. They live in Silverlake. They have an Airbnb. They rent out, I guess it's like a bungalow, is what they would call it in LA, behind their
Mhm.
home. And it
Yes.
looks like you guys are all the time packed, like booked up. So,
Yeah.
first of all, welcome. How are you
Hi.
doing? Good.
Hi, Jay.
And this is going to be interesting for me because, we are totally different from you. We live in a rural area, a little tiny small town out in the middle of nowhere. And so our
Mhm.
rental experience is much different from yours. But, it sounds like we're both making money. So we're just going to kind of talk about those different things. And, I kind of feel Airbnb started for people like in urban areas that had extra rooms or things a part of their house. And it's kind of what you guys are doing. So why don't you start off by just telling us about how you guys ended up in Silver Lake and how you got started on Airbnb?
Okay, so I'm from LA proper. My husband's from
Wow.
Ireland. Yeah.
Oh.
So I'm from LA. I literally was born probably a couple miles from where I live, which is sad, but
No, I mean,
yes.
it's kind of interesting because,
Uh-huh.
LA is one of those places like it's New York where no one's actually from there. They're all transplants. They get brought there.
True, true, and that's totally true. So when people meet me, they're like, "What? You're from LA?" They can't believe it.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I'm from LA. So I've lived all over LA. I've lived in downtown LA in a loft, and which I still miss to this day. And I've lived in, I don't know, MacArthur Park. I just lived all kinds of crazy places. But I ended up buying a home in Silver Lake in 2003.
Now, my question to you is, those of you that don't know LA, but you probably heard Silver Lake's like, a really cool place in LA. It's like it's Brooklyn or something, right? I mean,
Yes.
what was Silver Lake? It's before it got cool.
Well, Silver Lake's always been kind of cool. If you look at just go online and look at the history of Silver Lake. I mean, Silver Lake has always attracted musicians for sure. I guess Jackson Browne lived here in the 70s, and
Oh,
in the 70s, a lot of musicians lived here. It's always attracted, artists, musicians, and that sort of thing. Previous to that time period, I don't know how it happened, but so Silver Lake's kind of always been known for a real mix of different kinds of people.
and then
So
just real quick because it's important to understand in LA. Where is Silver Lake in conjunction to everything like Hollywood and?
So Silver Lake and Echo Park, which is the next neighborhood over from me, which is, we're just right next to each other, is pretty close to, let's say, Dodger Stadium, which is Elysian Heights, I guess you would call it. And it's literally like 10 minutes from downtown LA. It's on the east side of LA. It's east of Hollywood, about maybe 5 minutes east of Hollywood. And it's like near Los Feliz, which
Got
is
it.
a really nice area that a lot of movie
Right.
stars lived in
And
and
then
still do.
so the Hollywood Hills are kind of like north of you. Is that correct?
Yes,
Yeah.
they're kind of north of me, not far,
Not far.
but
Yep.
everything's moving east in LA.
Yep.
Everything, people, everything.
Now, so you and your husband bought the house, or you bought the house?
I bought the house previous to my husband and I getting married.
He
Yeah.
lucked out.
Well, at the time I bought that, I kind of like that. At the time I bought the house, though, the first housing kind of crazy boom had already started. So it was already getting kind of crazy. I mean, now it's crazy again, of course, but, it was funny because when I bought the house a year later, I was talking to a girl and she was looking for a house and people were paying like $100,000 over asking price. It was totally crazy, totally crazy.
Now, real quick. So you bought in 2003. I mean, it's 2016 now.
Yes.
Has the price of your house doubled, or is it much more than you paid?
Well, after the crash, God, it's been such a hard 7 years. I don't even know how to. It's been a hard 7 years. We were underwater.
Right.
We researched getting home loan mods, all that stuff. And, after a lot of trials and tribulations, now we're up and my house hasn't doubled. I mean, there was a period of time where it did double, but it's kind of calmed down a bit, but my house is definitely up in value since what I bought in 2003.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
those are the kind of places when real estate's crazy is when people have like signs in their yard, like "buy me out," and people come by and.
Yeah, LA's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. It's really crazy right now.
Right.
Housing's really, an issue in LA right now.
So, like we always say, I think one of the key to Airbnb is just where is it your house? And so you have a house where people want to go to. So when did you guys think about doing Airbnb?
So I originally, myself, I thought about doing Airbnb about 2 years ago. But we were always, our guest house was always kitted out for rental. For, initially my friend Bruce lived in the guest house. So 2 years ago I thought about doing it, but, I've always had like a full-time gig, and I was like, I just couldn't, figure out how to, at the time I couldn't figure out how to do it. I didn't really have any cash to get it going. And, I just poo-pooed it. But something definitely changed 6 months ago to put me on Airbnb. 6 months ago is when I put my listing up. But previous to that, a couple months previous to that, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Yeah, so that happened. So I'm working this full-time job. It's very far away. My boss is basically a sociopath. So, the combination of those things just made me say to my husband, like, I can't do this anymore. I don't want to have cancer and be in a job, a low-wage position, a production position. Like, I can't do this anymore. I got to find a way to get out of there. So I have this realtor friend, like you do, and he sat me down in my backyard, and we started talking about Airbnb. So he helped me figure it out. We ran the numbers, and he's like, "Ma, you have to do this." And I'm like, "You're right. I have to do this. And I have to do this now." Because I was at that point in treatment. So I literally, while I was in treatment, I knocked that out in 2 months.
I've got a bunch of questions here. So number one, did you catch the cancer early?
Yes.
Okay.
On the early side, yes.
So these days, cancer isn't the big craziness as it used to be. So do you feel good about it? I mean, are you past it? Or?
Yes, I've been told I'm basically healthy, and I'm basically where I was before I had it. It's just, it's not the death sentence. Right. I mean, breast cancer is not the death sentence it was, 10 years ago.
Right, cool. So it's scary, but it was more of a kick in the ass to just help you rearrange your priorities.
And I know it sounds really cliche to say this.
No!
It sounds really cliche to say, cancer's my life. But literally, I feel like cancer was the best thing that happened to me.
Yeah, well,
because of my Airbnb.
I mean, sometimes it's cliches happen because they make sense,
Yes.
If you're facing that kind of thing, and if you're like, do I want to, work this crappy job until I die, I mean, like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so let's also kind of sketch, because if it's okay, we'll put a link to your Airbnb on the blog post so people can check it out.
No worries.
But in LA, it's very common. A lot of people have these like little back bungalows. Like there's the main house, and then there's like this cool guest house. I love them. And yours is really beautiful. Was yours already beautiful like that and redone, or did you have to redo it for Airbnb?
No, I redid the interior. Basically, when I bought the house, it was the guy that lived here, he was only renting, and he tried to turn it into a recording studio. So since there's a lot of indie musicians in the neighborhood, and I just was done with contractors and fixing up my house, I was done. I thought, okay, I'm going to try to rent it out as is. So I had a couple of musicians come by, and they're like, well, it's not quite ready. You need this, this, and this. So finally I go, okay, if I'm going to spend any kind of money, I might as well just knock it out and just turn it into a proper, what they call a rec room. Yep. But yes, you're correct about the guest houses. There's certain pockets of LA, especially Silverlake, that have these guest houses. In fact, every house on my street pretty much has one.
Why is that? I mean, is that like, why is that?
I don't know. It's funny. If you look at the records of houses, I mean, I get the vibe that, if you look at some of them on my street, a lot of them are probably like what you call enlarged tool sheds.
Yeah.
I actually, in my mother's house, actually had one in the valley. And we always call it a tool shed. And then I think some point, if I look at the interior of my guest house, I'm sure at some point, I'm guessing in the 80s when maybe there were no records or something, it looks like it was made bigger. But there's no record of it. I can't tell. I'm just only guessing at the slab. I don't know. I'm sure Google can answer that question for me.
Yeah. No, I just wanted Yeah.
Yeah.
But, it seems very kind of common in parts of LA. Yeah, these beautiful, like, it's guest houses, and that's what you have, and you have very good taste. It really looks nice.
Oh, thank you.
Thank
you. Yeah. I tried really hard. I basically... I travel a bit, and I know what I like, and my surrounding environment is very important to me.
Yep.
So I wanted to make it as nice as if, what would I want if I had to live in it?
Yeah.
Like, what would I want it to look like? So that's what I did. And I have to say, like, you guys, you understand the importance of, yes, it costs money on the front end,
right,
but you will make it up on the back end.
So if you don't mind, we love to talk its numbers.
Sure.
So how much did it cost you to renovate the place?
Okay, so I look at it as a two-part process. I mean,
Sure.
Initially I remodeled the guest house, the interior, in around 2004, and that was primarily for renting for my friends. And then, in October of last year, we started to, outkit the guest house for Airbnb. That I can give you a definite idea of how much it costs.
Okay.
And roughly, and the information I found out on the internet actually matched what I spent. So I would say if you're buying all brand new for a one-bedroom, it's going to cost you around $6,000.
Yep, sounds about right.
That's what it's going to cost.
For nice couches and beds and everything,
Yeah, to outfit a one bedroom, if you go from zero to a full Airbnb, you have nothing, it's going to cost you at least $6,000, at least.
Yep.
So that's just how it's going to go down.
Now it's with you. Did you have a zero and go buy everything new, or did you have time and you got a little here, a little there, and you were piecing?
Yeah, so I only had 2 months because I had to go back to work. So I only had 2 months, so I had no time to, go to thrift stores and look. I had to come up with an idea, come up with a plan, and execute it as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I did.
Good.
So I did a lot of research. I went to a lot of stores. I did a lot of online shopping, and you just pull it together.
It was fun too, right? Though it was fun.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I was busy every moment because while not only was I in treatment, but my husband's sister was coming to town, and everything had to stop when she was here. So, because we had to spend time with her, of course. So, I was busy every moment of everything. Trying to knock that thing out. But
I find
it was fun.
When I stay in Airbnbs, we can tell the people who had a lot of fun. It's making a place for people, and the people who are just like, it was all just a paycheck or whatever. They were just wanting money,
right.
Where they just go and they just buy whatever and just kind of throw it up on the wall, and it feels like you're in like a Quality Inn or something,
Yeah, exactly. No, exactly what you're talking about, because you see that everywhere in Airbnb. But no, I actually cared. I mean, yes, initially it was for the money, but I really enjoyed the process. I went to art school, so I really had fun, creating it.
Yeah. I find that like our Airbnb is so much nicer than our own home. It's almost like I wanted to do a better job there than even our own house,
Yeah, no, I hear you. Like, I would love to do another one. And in fact, I was on the verge of maybe doing 2 more in LA. And I was very excited about it, and I had all these different ideas. But if I did another one in the future, which I plan on doing, it's always with the idea of, I want to create like sort of like a theme, and I want people to really experience the environment and really have, just enjoy the space, basically. Yeah. It's important.
So let's talk a bit more about its numbers. So when you were renting full-time to people, how much did you charge per month?
So we got about $1,300 a month.
Okay.
Seems high for LA. But that's LA prices.
Yeah, no, that sounds about right for a one-bedroom house. Yeah, $1,300. That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Now, how much did you get per night on Airbnb?
So currently I play with it a little bit, but currently we're like at around $149 a night on the weekdays, and then we raise it about $15 on the weekends.
Got it.
So about, so let's say like $150 a night and then $165 on the weekend.
So even if you average it's $50 a night, and you guys are booked at least 20 nights a month, right?
Yeah. It's so crazy.
I mean, so even at 20 nights a month, I mean, you're making $3,000, so you're easily doubling it. And I notice on your schedule that it's more than 20 nights. So
yeah, we're pretty much tripling it.
Jeez.
I mean, we're right now we're tripling it. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I don't want to kick myself for not doing it 2 years ago.
Yeah,
But 2 years ago I didn't have the time off. You really need to get it. I mean, if you have the kind of space where you have free available space and it's not being used for renting, then you can take your time with it. Then that's the most ideal situation. But I'm not going to kick myself for not doing it 2 years ago.
Right.
But it happened when it happened.
I think too. I mean, I think as well. Like we bought our house to redo in 2011. It took us 3 years to fix the place up because it was in pretty bad shape. So
yeah,
I sometimes kick it myself too. Like we could have been on earlier, but we really wanted to do it right. I think it takes what it takes. I think, too, Airbnb is just now really getting popular. I think even 3 years ago was still kind of not as popular. So, yeah.
Yes. So that's why it was now.
Yeah.
Now is go time,
Now, okay, I've got so many questions for you. So
we got all day. Don't worry about it.
Just back into it. So, number one is, did you say that, it's so popular, why did you raise the rate until people start backing off? Like, why not say $175 a night?
I don't know that the market can bear that price. I don't know. Like, right now at the price point I'm at, it's hard because I'm booked solid. And I get the vibe from now having done this for like 6 months. I get the vibe that a lot of people don't, and I'm one of these people, don't book in advance.
Yeah.
A lot of people book last minute. So when we're booked for like a month and a half, it has to come towards the end of that month where I start get bookings again. But I mean, I don't want to go too high above what everyone else around here books for. And it's not a huge space.
Right.
It's a comfortable space for 2 people. But I think right now at the price point I'm at might be as high as I might go. I might try a little higher.
I mean, are you saying that? Are you comparing it yourself to other Airbnbs in the area?
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is it's LA, and we are in a destination within a destination. People are always wanting to come here. I mean, there's just no stop of people wanting to come here.
Yeah.
So I will probably always be booked. But you're right. I should play around with the idea of, maybe I could raise my rate and then just have it not booked as much.
Right, but I think it's more of an experiment. I mean, if people aren't booking, then back down. But like this year, we raised our weekend rates by another $25, and I was really worried. But springtime's here, and we're fully booked on weekends. So
that's awesome. Well, and then there's the other thing. I feel responsible for someone now, so I have a cleaner, and so I want her to be happy. And I want her to make money. So, if I book, a week, she doesn't get to work as often. So, I have to take into consideration her. She is now, I consider her my teammate, basically. And, so I want her to be happy. I want her to be paid. And so that's a consideration. So there's a lot of things, I have to weigh in that. But I wouldn't be adverse to going up a little bit more, but we started at $99.
Wow.
So we're already,
right.
And of course you start low to get your reviews.
Yeah.
So we're already raised our rates, but I'm guessing I could probably go a teeny higher.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not trying to push you to do it. I'm just,
No, yeah.
we're thinking for ourselves, how to do stuff like this, and we're, I mean, the other thing is the argument against it raising rates it is about its value too. Is you don't want people to pay and then they come and then they're like unhappy because they're like, we just way overpaid, and then they start nailing you on that star rating, like it's a nice place.
Yes, so we got that already. So we got that one time. So right now we're at 32 5-star reviews.
Right.
But I think out of one of those reviews, we had a guy, I'm pretty sure it was a guy, ding us for value.
Right, okay.
So he thought it was a little too high. Now, that could be because he didn't pick our place. Maybe his girlfriend picked our place.
Right.
And he's the one paying for it, so he dinged us. You don't know.
Yeah.
And it depends where they're from, If it was this person, he's from the Midwest, so LA prices might have seemed kind of high, and, so that could happen.
Right.
So you kind of want to steer clear of that.
Yeah. I mean, if you're fully booked and everyone's super happy and you're happy, it's with how much you're making, then it's all good,
Yeah. I just want people to be happy and, I want to enjoy the space and them to enjoy the space, and I want to keep my cleaner happy,
Yep.
Everybody's happy.
Yep. Because, I mean, that's what we try and aim for in all this stuff is just like, we're looking for a low-stress life, I mean, we got to make money, we got to pay bills, we got to pay a mortgage, but at the end of the day, it's got to be a low-stress life. And, this isn't a Wall Street where we're trying to, cram down more profit. So, yeah.
Right. Exactly. And I'm on the same path as you guys. I mean, that's what I want for my life as well, especially after what I've been through.
Yeah.
But I just, I want less stress. So part of that, and that brings up a really good subject, I think, because part of that low stress life is when you create an Airbnb, and this is to anyone out there who's trying or thinking about this, you should up front, before you put your listing up, think about all the problems that could arise when a guest comes to your property. And everyone should think about that and figure out a way how to make those problems either not happen or a quick fix for them. So your place can be like self-automated.
So real quick, I think that's good, but let's get into some details. So what kind of problems should people think about might happen, or
So it starts from when they get out of their car and start walking on your property. Like, you should walk into your property and try to look at it with a traveler's eyes. You should, what are the pitfalls? Like, do you have stairs? Do you have a stone path? Do you have, when I travel, I always end up with bruises because I'm always, I'm in an unfamiliar environment. Obviously, I'm not very graceful. I'm always bumping into stuff. So, you have to think about those things, like, make it easy for people to find stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Like, explain.
I mean, like, it's, like where we live in a rural area, and so we have a mailbox that has a number of our house. But it's like really small, and we're noticing people kept driving by because they didn't read the mailbox. So we actually spent about $300 and got like a sign made with like the name of our house and put it at our driveway. And now that solves all the problems. They see the sign, they know where to go. So,
well, I'll tell you the easiest thing you could do. I mean, and a lot of people who are on Airbnb are tech savvy. So if they're smart, they will go online and go to Google Maps and look up your address and look at, if Google has happened to be down your street and taking pictures of your house. If not, I highly recommend, and this is what I did because I learned it from someone else online, is when someone creates a booking with you, you send them their check-in information in an email, and within that email, I provide a video of walking up to our backyard and how to get in the property.
That's so smart.
Yeah, well, I learned it from someone on YouTube.
Because Airbnb, once the person's booked, they allow links in the emails in the
Yes.
messages. So you've just made a video and uploaded it, and it just shows you walking into the house.
Yes, it's just from their viewpoint. It's not of me. I'm just holding my, iPhone, and I'm just, showing my property. Here's my property. Here's how you walk up. Make a right to go to the backyard and show them the lock and all that stuff.
That's really smart.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
I mean, it's cool because especially in urban areas, we've been to we stayed in a place in San Diego by the beach, and it was like a little bungalow behind a house. Mm-hmm. And you kind of park in front of the house, and we just had no idea where to go. I don't want to walk into someone's backyard if this isn't the right house,
Yeah, it's scary. So it's scary because they're like, are we at the right place? We're not sure. And early on, I heard someone say that I think they accidentally went to my neighbor's house, even though I had already provided the video to them. Some people, and the funny thing about Airbnb is no matter how much information you provide to people, sometimes they just don't read it.
But you're trying to do the best that you can, but mistakes always happen.
Yeah, so you just got to think about all those mistakes in advance. I mean, not only with your Airbnb guests, but if you have a cleaner, with your cleaner, how can I make this job as easy for her as possible?
Right.
What can I do to help her out or him out? Those kinds of things really need to be thought of in advance, especially if you're going to have a full-time job.
Okay, I do want to talk about it's cleaning, but I have a couple other things first. Who is renting from you? Are you finding, is it everyone, or is there a certain kind of person?
Well, it's kind of everyone, but because of, I think, the interior design of my place, and because of the neighborhood, I get a lot of artists, I get a lot of musicians, I basically get a lot of creative people.
I mean, are they people just there on vacation, or are they there for jobs, or what?
Okay, so I do get a cross-section. I get people on vacation. I get people on jobs. The interesting, funny thing is 2 times, unbeknownst to them and myself initially, 2 times, 2 different people came because they were visiting my next-door neighbor.
Really?
My next-door neighbor had twins, and one time it was her husband's mother who booked our place and had no idea it was right next door. And then another time it was her friend who booked our place and had no idea it was right next door.
Wow. I mean, they had no idea it was next door to their friends?
No, so what people are doing is they're looking to be in a specific neighborhood because either because it's Silverlake or because they're visiting a daughter or friend
and Airbnb doesn't tell the people the exact address until it's booked, so they didn't know.
Yeah, so they didn't know. Yeah, exactly. And there you go. I didn't think about that. But yes. Yeah, so we're getting the whole cross-section, travelers, work people, just people visiting family.
I mean, how many, is there an average amount of time people stay? Is it just 2 nights? Or is it a week?
Well, when I was booking, let's see, my prices were, I do notice this, when my prices were lower, we were getting a lot of 2-night bookings. But when your prices go up, a certain, a percentage of people can't afford, a certain price point. So when my prices go up, we tend to get people that stay 3 days or longer. But we are getting people staying for weeks and longer. We actually have someone who is now a regular.
Wow.
And she's coming to stay with us, and this will be her 3rd time with us. And she is booking over a week. She books over a week.
I mean, is this that thing? Because I'm noticing Airbnb just started this Airbnb for business, where I guess people that work for companies can book on Airbnb, and then Airbnb helps to send the bill to their boss. Are you seeing that? Or I
have seen them say to Airbnbers, hey, make your place business friendly, and in order to have that, you have to have, shampoo, you have to have a couple items a workstation or whatever. Unfortunately for us, to be a business listing, we can't have animals on the property.
Ah.
And we have 2 cats, so that's a no-go. Yeah.
So
I thought that was kind of weird, but I guess, business travelers don't like that. I don't know.
But I mean, are you finding, though, that people that book are there because of business? Like that girl that's coming for the 3rd time, why is she coming back? Like, what's her purpose?
Well, she's a recording artist, so it's obviously for, I would say, business.
Huh, cool.
So she's a creative person. She's an artist. And she's coming for business. So, yeah, a lot of people do come for business, like they're having something in the convention center, or they say they're coming from work. I mean, I don't get into it with them unless, I can feel out that they want to talk about it. Right. But, there has been, there's been, I think, a nurse or, there's just a lot of different, we get a definite cross-section of people.
Yeah, we always, part of it is the hospitality part. We always enjoy just figuring out why people are there, or, if they want to talk about it, that's just interesting for us.
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, it's funny, the first couple of people I got a lot of people from Copenhagen. Huh. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. And one of the girls I got who gave me an awesome review happened at a time when, for whatever reason, Airbnb server went down. I don't know, it was just a big mess. And I let her come in and stay, even though she hadn't got booked in the system. So it all got sorted out in the end. But because of that, she's like, I'm telling all my friends in Copenhagen. I'm like, great, invite the whole country,
Yeah.
But yeah, we definitely get people from places that either I've never been to or I want to visit.
Now, with people coming, is your place just for 2 people? Is that correct? 2 people?
Yes, and okay. So the reason we did that is because it is a small space. It's a small space, and I find in that small space, and it's cute, and we have a lot of, younger people that want to be in this neighborhood.
Right.
So 2 people is great, 3 people is a party.
Right, basically. But so my question to you is, are you always getting people like, well, there's 2 of us, but it's just my friend, or it's my 2 friends, they'll sleep on the floor? I mean, are people trying to sneak in?
We get no requests for that, but we did have one person who took advantage and pretended like, but at that time I said to her, it says on my listing, it's for 2 people. Right. And she's like, oh, well, I'll pay you extra money, whatever. And I knew she was, she was from San Francisco. She knew the score. So I
Northern California people.
Yeah, I said to her, listen, don't worry, I'm not going to make you pay, but I'm going to use this as a learning opportunity. And so what I did after that is I changed my listing to reflect that any more than 2 people, the next person after that's $100 a night. There
you go. Yeah, make them pay, right? Yeah.
So that way, if that problem happens again, it's, there it is.
Yep. Now, okay, so this is a question that I'm always interested in because, we have a separate home. So it's like 10 minutes from us. We check people in, then they're just staying there. Like right now, there's a whole group of people there. We're hands off. Now, you actually have people on your property, and there's like in the picture, I see like a hot tub. And so there's people at your house. I mean, they are inside of your living home, but they're in your environment. What is that like having strangers always there?
Well, because we're so used to renting anyways, it's not much different. But the greatest thing about our property and, layout of your property is extremely important, especially when you're renting while you're there or, you want to be there. Layout's super important. So to get into the backyard, it's just they have a private entrance.
Okay.
So even though we can hear them sometimes and see them sometimes, it's kind of, even though it's very close to our house, the only instance in where, we keep our blinds closed to give them privacy. I want them to feel like this is my space.
Right.
This is our space.
Right.
So we give them as much privacy as we can. And if I want to say hello to them, I try to text them in advance, say, hey, you want me to, want us to come over and say hi, or, that kind of thing.
So does that mean then that you guys just don't really hang out in the backyard? Like, did you guys just say, like, we won't go to the backyard?
We do, and then when it's warm. So it's starting to get warm now. And and before I went back to my job, we did that more often, but now that I'm back at my job, it's been kind of difficult because I do work very far away from home.
Right.
And it's hard. I mean, It's been actually kind of hard to even meet the people. But we're finding out that a lot of people don't. They just don't seem to mind.
Yep. Wait, they don't mind that you aren't
They don't mind that I haven't popped in to say hello the first day that they're here.
Yep. Now, so that's interesting. So you send them a video of how to get into the house. So is there like a code, like an electronic code lock? And I mean, is it self-check-in?
So right now we have an old school padlock.
Yeah.
But and so that was the problem I had to figure out and think about because ideally, I did my research on 6 months ago on electric padlocks or Bluetooth padlocks, and none of them had good reviews.
I mean, we just went to Home Depot or a Lowe's, and they have those. I forgot what brand it is. It's a pretty popular brand, and it's just an electronic lock, and it's good for us. It's pretty easy to change the code, and
that's awesome. Do you have it on a door, or is it?
It's on the door. And real quick, one thing though, get the deadbolt one, not the one that has a handle, because we found those were breaking too much. Just get the deadbolt lock, and then just have a separate handle. And and then just give people the code, and you get the
So cool. So the problem with my backyard is we have one of those traditional, metal gates, So it's a metal gate covered with ivy, and it's just literally locked with.
That gate has a lock.
Yeah, so that gate has a padlock, like an old school padlock. So initially we were looking into Bluetooth padlocks so I could change the code. So there is nothing available to us right now to solve that problem. Right. So we're considering putting in a wood gate and putting on a real, August lock or one of the lock Schlage or one of those things.
Yeah. Schlage is the one that we have. I don't know how it's Schlage,
Schlage.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yes, so that's those are considerations.
I mean, then do you make a point of trying to meet people because you just want to make sure they're cool, or do you not care? I mean, is there a lot of...
No, I care. Yeah. I do care, and I do try to make a point to meet people. I always, I always pretty much chat with them at least 3 times during their stay, even if they're, uninterested in meeting us. In the beginning, you can get that vibe.
Sure.
People just want to come and, treat it like a hotel, and that's fine. So, but I always try to say, hey, do you want us to pop over and say hello? We're home at this time, yada, yada, yada.
Yep.
And then during their stay, I'll check in with them and say, hey, how is everything going? If you have any questions, feel free to text me at any time. And, the same thing when they leave, like, I hope you enjoyed your stay and, all that stuff. So, but I always do try to meet with them. I always try to say, hey, if you have any questions about restaurants or where you want to go, just ask me.
Yeah, I mean, big applause from over here, because I find like meeting people is 2 things. Number one is people want kind of an experience. That's why they aren't in a hotel. So they want to have that personal touch and where to go. But also it's good for us because we kind of just check in and they know like, oh, this isn't just a hotel. Like, I can't just throw my dirty towels on the floor, or, I can't like wipe my shoes. It's with white towels and throw it on the ground because it's these
Although
people.
that might happen.
It still might happen, but I feel like it cuts down on some of they kind of feel like we're a guest in a home than I'm just in a hotel.
Exactly. And I always try, my husband's a bit shy, and he, it's on times he's like, oh, I don't want to go out there and meet them, but I'm like, no, honey, you have to, because, he just wants to hang out in his jammies in the house.
And
like
they'll love his
do.
Accent, right? And they'll love his Irish.
Yeah, man, like, your Irish are cute. They'll love you. Come on.
Now let's talk about your husband. I mean, is he a big part of the business, or is it more you?
It's more me. I'll be honest. He'll do the heavy lifting when I need him to, but to be honest, I'm I'm basically running the whole business.
Yep.
But, he's my husband. He lives with me in the house. He's on the property. And I think, if you notice, and if you look on Airbnb, maybe not your neighborhood, but in my neighborhood, you do see a lot of couples.
Yeah.
And part of me is like, are they really a couple, or is this a management company?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
So, but the other thing about having my husband in the listing, he's here, I don't want any funny business.
Yeah. I do
you know
wonder,
what I mean?
Yeah. I wonder if there are women that run their own Airbnbs, but in the photo they get their guy friends to be in the photo. Because of that, it's reason, so it doesn't just look like it's a single lady.
I think that happens, and I think that's a smart thing. I mean, you do have to think about, you have to think about everything when you're running this business. So, I've seen all kinds of funny things on Airbnb. I see listings for really cute girls that have a couple properties, and you're like, I don't know, is this really her? Again, it's a management company, because we're having those issues in LA, and that's a big subject of conversation.
Why don't we briefly talk about that? So what do your immediate neighbors think about this? Are they like, God, it's that lady that has a million people?
So my neighbors are pretty cool with it. I think, it's LA, so everybody knows about Airbnb.
Yeah.
In fact, my next door neighbor is, I think, going to do it as well. But and my other neighbors, of course, like it because their families and friends have stayed with us.
Huh. Now, did you purposely go and tell everyone around you, like, I'm doing this, or they just figured it out?
I didn't. So, but my next door neighbors, I did talk to about it, and then my other next door neighbors on the side, I didn't really say anything either, because you just you want to feel it out at first. But this is very important too for Airbnb people. In your listing, you should, especially if you're like in an urban area, in my listing, it requests my guests to be respectful when they're out on the street and in front of my neighbors. You just have to, make it clear to them, please be, respectful of my neighbors, respectful when you're on the street, and, keep the sound level, tolerable.
Now, some LA neighborhoods have permits for parking. Are you free parking, or is it a whole thing?
We're so lucky.
Wow.
We are very lucky. I live on a street that has absolutely no street signs.
Wow. So is it packed? Is it hard finding parking because people are...
It really isn't. I mean, obviously there is definitely more renters or Airbnbers on our street because, I see new faces walking down our street all the time. So I know there's a couple Airbnbs on my street, but it seems to be not a problem parking. I mean, around the 6 o'clock hour, it's kind of crazy for some reason, and then I don't know why this happens, but after that time, it's kind of dissipates. So, people can usually always get a spot in front of my house.
That's
weird.
Lucky. That's really nice.
It's really lucky. And even luckier, I have a laundromat at the end of my street.
Wow.
So if anyone wants a long-term stay, there's a laundromat right at the end of my street.
Now, what are the, I know it's like this whole thing with Airbnb is in each place, it's just a different fight. How does LA feel about Airbnb and short-term rental and taxes and all that stuff?
So things are going to be changing from what we've been told. Currently, there's no restrictions, but so Venice Beach has passed restrictions. Right. West Hollywood has passed restrictions, and now LA is probably going to pass restrictions. And the reason being is because, like we discussed earlier, there have been property management companies that have come in and taken over apartment buildings and, rented out. Yeah. They're trying to put the kibosh on that.
Yeah. Now, so are they going to hurt people like it's you to get at the big management companies, or they're just going to be hurting the management companies?
I think, from what I've been told, is that's the management company portion of it's going to end. So that's why I have not done 2 more Airbnbs in a rental type situation, because I didn't want to sign a lease and then find out, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
So, but I will be okay. Yeah. Our Airbnb that we have now is okay because we live here.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting. Yeah. Because in some ways it's awesome because people like you, if you have an extra room or an extra house behind you, you're getting more money for your income. It's great. But then, then there are the companies who see it differently. They're like, wow, instead of renting out these homes to families, we'll just rent them out to vacationers, and you're taking valuable real estate off the market, or,
Yeah,
so,
and that's what's going on.
Yeah.
So they're going to probably, sometime at the end of this year, that's going to stop.
Yeah. Now, does LA have, or do they have taxes that you pay? Like, do you pay hotel tax or something?
Not yet, but I think that's going to come with the package too.
Yeah. I mean,
I think a lot of things are going to change when, that happens.
Right. I mean, that's one thing that I hate or I dislike about Airbnb is that, like, in our county, there's a lot of cabins. It's like a vacation place. So our county is very cool about vacation. It's rentals, and they actually have a 10% tax. So we get 10% off of everyone who stays, and then we pay the county, and they love it, and it's a big part of their income, So it's a good thing. The thing I don't like about Airbnb is they don't let us add a tax to our listing. So actually we just pull it out of, how much we make. And I would just love it if Airbnb said, we could just put a tax on there, 10%.
I think they're going to do that. I think that's going to happen. I'm surprised that I know like you said, in other places that they do charge a hotel tax. But I have read, or I thought I've read, that Airbnb actually in certain areas, or they're going to at least start where they're going to facilitate that part of the website. They're going to, so that's supposed to happen coming up.
Right. It's kind of place by place. Like Airbnb, it negotiates. It's with like Amsterdam or something where they're like, okay, Amsterdam says Airbnb can be here, but you have to put a tax on everyone that stays. But I guess Airbnb doesn't want to do it right now, site-wide, because then it's responsible for, I don't know if they collect the tax or how all that stuff works. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I've read that they will, somehow they're, I don't know. I could be wrong. I can't speak for Airbnb, but I have read articles where eventually they will facilitate, through the booking, a separate, like they do the cleaning fee, like a separate tax portion that will then get funneled to the city or the county or whatever it's supposed to go to.
I just feel it's like, it's like pot, like once these like, it's once these urban areas and once these counties start getting a taste of taxes, more taxes, I feel like they'll love it. And so we just haven't quite there yet,
Exactly. So LA is, there's been some meetings, Airbnb sort of meetings in the neighborhood.
Yep.
And I haven't had a chance to go to any of them, but I've had friends there. And they're saying that, yes, the city doesn't want to totally deny Airbnb because they do want the revenue from the taxes. So they're just trying to solve a problem, and the problem they're trying to solve is we have a huge housing crisis in LA.
Yeah.
So they want to solve that problem, but they also want to be able to get, of course, money from, whatever listings they are going to allow. So they're just trying to work that out.
Yep.
It's kind of like the sharing economy. Anytime, there's something new comes along, whether it's Airbnb or Lyft or Uber, there's probably always going to be a struggle and a bit of a tussle and a fight until they all get it sorted out and everybo's happy.
Yep. When you guys go out of town, do you ever rent the entire home?
So I'm probably not going to rent our home because, like you, like a previous podcast of yours, we have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's just all your
and
stuff.
And it's not that I'm attached to this stuff, but there's like a lot of little items. There's just too much stuff.
Yeah.
It's just, you know what I mean? It's not, we live in the house. It's not ideal for Airbnb, it's just, we're probably never going to do that.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, it's not just that I have stuff that I care about. It's more just like, my stuff is everywhere, and then I got to clean it and organize it, and then it doesn't feel like my house anymore, so. Yeah,
I mean, if we had a second bathroom in a whole other room or something, I might consider doing something like that, but, we don't. So, we're never going to do that. In fact, we've never gone away yet. That's coming up. So I'm curious to see, how it's going to work out while we go to Palm Springs for the weekend or whatever.
Wow.
So I'm now considering, and she doesn't know this yet, but now considering talking to my cleaning girl and making her more of a part of my team, like
a manager.
Yeah,
Huh. That would be
cool. So just, maybe do something like, hey, here's, pay her per incident or whatever.
Well,
or something.
So we've done this before. So we're going out of town for a month. We're going to the West Coast. We're actually going to Portland, Seattle, Bend, Oregon. And we actually did this last year where we have a friend who lives here locally. So he goes and meets everyone, checks them in, and then he cleans, and we give him 20% of the its profit.
Awesome.
And it works for us. We trust him, and we feel like it's worth, that cut.
Yeah, it's totally worth it. I mean, it's totally worth it. And it's a great feeling to help people out. I mean, it really is.
Yeah.
I know what it's like. I went through the economic crisis. I was laid off from my job. It's been, like I said, it's been a really hard 7 years. And it just feels really good to be able to, help someone out, give someone, you know what I mean? It's just a great feeling.
The other reason why I asked about renting out at your own home is, I know people who live in places like LA or it's New York or you live in Amsterdam or on the beach. I mean, your place is like sought after and people like trade houses. I mean, have you guys ever thought about that? About like staying in Ireland,
It's still the same issue. It's still like, it's still like, and it's going to sound funny, even though I'm doing Airbnb, I don't know, maybe Palm Springs I'd rent a house, but I still like booking hotels. I mean, there is a part of it like, hey, I'm not a mess or anything, but not at all. I mean, I don't make my hotel room a mess. I'm not one of those people, but it is kind of nice to come back and go, oh yeah, the bed's made, or
Cool.
And so, I'm not really. I have rented somebody's home in Scotland once, but we weren't swapping or anything.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, I mean, real quick, so when you guys travel, do you not rent on Airbnb if you would rather stay in a hotel?
No, we haven't had the opportunity. We just haven't done it yet.
Okay, I got you.
We just started doing Airbnb last October. I want to go to Palm Springs coming up, and I really should rent on an Airbnb as an Airbnb host.
Yeah,
I should really rent an Airbnb.
I mean, we've learned a lot from staying in Airbnbs,
Yeah, I did rent one time. I did rent, and this was just as a fluke. I went to Sonoma, and I rented. Well, I didn't really quite understand at the time. I thought it was a hotel, but it turned out it was a timeshare.
Huh.
So I was like, wow, this place is like, forks and knives, and it's a full-on kitchen, and I couldn't believe what I got for the price. I was just amazed. I was like, look at this place. We got a washer and a dryer. And, oh, my God. I was just, so happy, even though I didn't need any of it.
Right.
It was, having it all there is just a nice feeling.
Yeah.
And the same goes for our place. Like, we have a hot tub. But I swear 9 times out of 10, no one uses it. But they book it because of the hot tub.
Yep. I mean, I hate staying in hotels now because you go to a hotel and there's like nowhere to sit except like the bed and then like the chair by the desk. I like to stay in a place that has like a couch. Like has a suite. It's nice.
Yes, I totally get that. So like when I book a hotel room, I do tend to like the rooms with the separate little sofa area. I don't know what you call it.
Yeah.
It's not a suite, but yeah, I know what you mean. I don't like this standard bed, desk, tiny little, Yeah, I totally get you. I need a little bit of space.
Yeah,
to move around.
and normally rooms that have like a sitting area, it is more of like a suite and it's more expensive. And then you're like, well, I can just get a house on Airbnb for like the price of a 2-bed hotel room. So it's all good.
Yeah, I think that's true. Unfortunately, where, I want to go to Palm Springs, that's not always the case in every place. So in Palm Springs, it's more like, we're looking at, it's more money than a hotel.
Yeah.
But
really?
that's because, you've got this massive pool in the backyard and, they can get that price.
And plus, I guess Palm Springs is like a destination, so there's lots of motels.
Yes.
And,
Yeah. So that's the thing. But this summer, we're going to probably go to Ireland, and I want to go see my friend in London. And it's great because where she lives in London, she lives in North London, and there's not really a lot of hotels near her.
Mm.
So I'm already starting to look for Airbnbs near her house.
Yep.
And I'm finding there are some, so it's great for that.
Yeah, I mean, like, we're going to at Bend, Oregon for a week, and I found an Airbnb, like, the whole house, it's like 2 blocks from the main street where all the restaurants are. It's $60 a night. I'm like, how can you beat that?
That could be so cheap.
It's like
amazing.
1950s, you know? I mean, it's like she needs to, like, raise her rent. I mean, it's almost like I want to tell her that, but not till after I leave.
I think it works like I've kind of been thinking about Palm Springs and maybe getting the property there, and and it's funny because to make your mortgage up, you should rent for a certain price point, but if you really have to rent for a lower price point, you get the booking no matter what. And people are like, oh my God, it's a 3-bedroom house for $150. It's just
true. Well,
that happens.
I mean, this winter time, where we live, it's, people don't really come here in the winter time, but we still stay relatively booked, 10, 12 nights a month. But that's because I was playing it with our prices and lowering it,
Mm-hmm.
So, you got to play around some to bring people in.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
So you say you have bookings on the weekends. Do you not have bookings during the week because your location is not a destination for the week, or how does that work?
So weekends are always booked,
Okay.
But during the week, I mean, it's not fully booked. So, if you're booked all the time, for us, we'll be booked, 20 nights out of 30 nights is good for us, I mean, really good would be like 25 nights, but 15, 20 nights a month is good. It's for us. So people do come during the week. It's just not as popular because we get a lot of people from, it's DC, and they just want to come on a weekend, go hiking, and then they got to go back to work,
Right. So it's not like I guess my question, I guess it's not like unless they know of the area, and they're...
Right. I mean, we do get families that come for a week, or people that, have time off, and it's cheaper during our week, so they come and they stay. Like we're having people come on Sunday, and they stay until Wednesday, and they're coming from Portland, so.
Oh, wow. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, if anyone's listening to your podcast and says, they're listening to it because they haven't started Airbnb yet, my advice to them is just start it, because you will be amazed at how many people are on the internet, with a credit card in hand ready to go somewhere. You'd just be amazed.
Yeah. I mean,
and there's always that my mom lives down the street, or
there's a college in town. I mean, I don't know. There's some reason why people got to come there,
Yeah, I mean, even in neighborhoods where it's, if it's not a destination neighborhood, there will be always some family member that doesn't have room or something.
I mean, we rented an Airbnb in Maryland, which is like 2 hours from where we live, because we had this job and we needed a really fast internet connection, and we have a very slow one. So we found an Airbnb that had a fiber line, and we rented it just for 4 days because we had to do all this work, and it was just in the middle of just some weird random neighborhood, but we rented it.
But the fiber got you.
Yeah, that's what we needed. Do you ever watch those TV shows about hospitality, like Hotel Impossible, or any of those shows?
The only show I've watched like that's like about a hotel. I don't even remember the name of it, and it was a British show.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't seen. I know there's another hotel show because it's just because of my job and I work so far away. Yeah. Like if I can get home and watch a Broad City episode, I'm good. Yeah. But it's like, that's like sometimes that doesn't happen. Yeah. So I haven't. But what are you going to tell me about them?
Oh no, I mean we just have fun because like there's Hotel Impossible, there's Hotel Hell, and it's basically about like people running like either like motels or like
Yeah.
B&Bs, and we love it because you're just like they're doing it all wrong. They're the way that they treat people, the amenities they offer, and I think just when you really get into this kind of thing, those things are fun.
Yes, I think you know what, I will. I'll start recording that on my DVR,
Yeah.
and I should watch that. There was one reality show, I can't remember, think of it now, it's the bar one.
Oh yeah,
yeah. Bar, yeah, I love that show.
Right.
Because it's like a business. I'm like, how can these people treat their business this way?
Exactly.
How can they treat their customers this way?
How can they treat their employees and spending their money?
Yeah, it's just like it's always amazing to me, especially in my work environment, how people do treat their employees or how people do treat their guests or whatever. It's like, I always am amazed, like, how do you think treating people poorly is going to benefit you in any way? I just don't get that.
Now, that being said, you mentioned it's your cleaner a couple times, and it seems very important for you to have someone that's working with you that you treat well. So how did you meet her, and how does that whole thing work for you?
Okay, so initially, I have a friend down the road who's a superhost, and I asked him, how did you get your cleaner? He goes, I just put it out on Craigslist.
Yep.
And, that's always kind of a scary proposition. But, again, if you word it in the proper way, like you do your listing, just to make it clear, like what you're looking for, what your needs are, hopefully you'll get someone. And I did go through a couple cleaners who were kind of transitional, young people who weren't really that interested in the job.
Right.
But, I finally found someone that was great. So that's how I found her.
And does she do quality work? Like she cleans it the way you
would clean it?
She is
amazing.
Wow.
Yes. And see, so part of my listing said, I really would like someone who is already an Airbnb cleaner or someone who does this for a living. Right. So if you can get that, you're gold.
Now, does she, so she does this for other people too, or how does
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Gotcha.
She sure does.
And now, and she's just an individual. It's not like she has a company where she hires other people, or?
Correct. Okay. Yes. So there are those companies. I don't know how prevalent they are in LA. I did look into them. But because I had the time to invest in her or in my people, before I had to go back to work, I made sure to figure it out and make it so easy for them that if I'm not here, they can do, they can do it.
Right.
So I created some laminated sheets, like, point by point what needs to be done. And then, you stay with them a couple of times and you show them the ropes.
Yep.
And then after, within 2 weeks or a couple of times, they get it. Right. They already know what to do.
Right. Now, can I ask you how much she charges or how all that works out? So
everybody's different. My space is really small, so I can't charge a lot of money for a cleaning because people go, why is your cleaning so high, So I charge, it's like $40 or $50 or whatever. And, my friend Peter charges $40. Some people charge more. It kind of depends on your space and what, you know what I mean? So I don't think I could charge $100.
Right. It's $40 for one bedroom seems very.
Or, $55. I can't remember what it is now. $50. But, yeah, so, I basically at least want to pay my people, $20 an hour.
Right.
It's just, sometimes it'll take them only a half an hour. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it'll take them 2 hours. If it's going to take anything more than 2 hours, that means there's a problem.
Right. So do you pay them the same amount each time, or did you only pay them for
I just say, hey, this is when I'm going to pay you for this. Yeah, I don't pay by the hour because I just pay them. This is, and my girl likes that. She says other people tried to pay her by the hour.
Nickel and dime them.
Yeah, she's got nickel and dime, and I'm like, she goes, I like it when people show me the space and go, we're paying you this price every time for this.
Yep.
So she doesn't feel any pressure. It's just like, this is how much you're going to get for this size house.
And then there isn't a game of trying to like drag it out or make extra work, or it's just like it's like, if you're a pro, I'm paying you, just do it right.
Yeah.
No headaches.
That's it. Yeah, I'm paying you to do it right. Like, when's your birthday? You get a birthday present. When's your Christmas? You're going to get, don't tell her this, but Christmas, you got to keep your people happy.
Yeah, because, if she decides to just leave because it's more of a pain in the butt, then that makes a big problem, right? It
makes a big problem for you as an Airbnb host because you don't want to be, the whole idea is, like you said, you want to have an easy life.
Yep.
You don't want to continually be dealing with these problems. And, unfortunately, a lot of problems are self-created by,
right.
Airbnb hosts.
Right.
They're easily rectified if you think about it in advance and solve the problem in advance.
Now, real quick, so what is her motivation? So she just runs a business? I mean, she just made a choice, like, this is my business, I'm just going to clean people's
so that's
houses.
her business. She's a cleaner, that's her business.
And so, because she's dealing with other people, how do you schedule, like, I got someone leaving at noon, I need this cleaned on Monday from 12 till 3, so...
Yeah, so traditionally Airbnb, checkout and check-ins are usually anywhere from 10 to 4, let's say. So our check-in is at 11, and our check-in is at 3, and our checkout's at 11.
Got it.
So she can come anytime she wants between those hours. Now, having said that, she knows that check-in is at 3. But if I find out that the guest is not coming till 8 o'clock at night, I let her know.
But there isn't ever a danger where, in 3 weeks she's booked all of Monday, and so she can't come on Monday. Like,
right. Well, she knows she's smart. She knows she can't. It won't work like that. Okay. She knows that she could probably only hit 2 Airbnbs in one day.
Okay, gotcha.
Because she is local to neighborhoods, so the Airbnb she does are, within 10 minutes of our home.
Okay. Yeah, so she's not driving to Pasadena to do one.
Yeah, so she'll just work it out. Or, I think she's only at 3 properties right now. I think, but she has to make a living. So, not everybody's booked all the time. So it's a bit of a juggling game for everybody.
Yep.
But you work it out.
Yep. So it's never been a problem. It's with her overbooking or not being able to come or.
No, and recently she said to me she's going to be out of town in April.
Ooh.
But she has a friend who wants to do this. So this is perfect because, I was initially trying to have 2 people on staff.
Right. And
when you have 2 people, you have to work the second, there's a main person kind of, if you think of one as a main. And then you have to work the second one in all the time, and you have to give them equal opportunity to keep them happy. But it gets a little convoluted. It is, of course, much easier. That's why I say it's much easier to have somebody that does this for a living.
Yeah, they're just trying to, pay their rent for 1 month and then they're gone.
Yeah, so there is a learning curve to this. I just found with her, she's awesome. She is so reliable, which is what you want. She's so reliable. I just love her, and she's, she's made my business, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's not worth trying to cut corners or pay her $20 or less, or it's
not worth it.
Never.
You can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that to people. If you treat people right, they'll be with you forever.
Yeah.
People
just want. I mean, that's what I want. I just want predictability. Just make it predictable. That's all I want. Low stress. I'm good. So, what do your friends think of you renting on Airbnb?
They think it's awesome. Yeah. They are amazed.
Are they jealous? They're like, Jesus Christ.
Is anyone jealous? That's a good question. No, but I do have friends that are probably not making as much as they would in their life, and they're like, oh my God, no, I don't think I have anyone that's jealous, but people are truly amazed, and I knocked that out at the time. I knocked it out.
I mean, are there friends that have the same kind of home things where they have an extra house or?
Yes. So I have a friend now who's just starting it, and I helped him, a little bit, trying to steer him in the right direction, where to look for information, and I've helped him out with his pictures and all that stuff.
Yep.
So he just put it online, and he hadn't finished his profile, and he got a hit in 10 minutes.
Wow.
I was like, are you kidding me?
True.
Yeah. So yes, so he's got a couple of places on his property.
That's
so
cool.
he's now, it's really fun. It's really fun. It's a fun thing.
Now we were talking about earlier how you got cancer, you kind of rethought things, and now you sound like you want to be more independent. Does that mean like do you want to eventually quit the job that you have and just do stuff like this?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So how does that work? I mean, what's the plan?
So I feel that my next property, if I can get a property, initially I was trying to get, like I said, another place, like an apartment or something. So that's, I was looking at places in Hollywood Hills. I was looking at lofts in downtown LA. But, I'd had to stop all that because of the change.
Right.
So now I'm looking to buy a piece of property, more than likely in Palm Springs, and have another rental property.
So you would buy, and then the rent would help pay a mortgage plus.
Yes. So I feel that once I get my next property, then because my goal is to not work for anyone.
Right.
No one.
Right.
So that's the goal.
I mean, do you think that 2 properties is enough income to make that happen?
Yeah. So what the economic crisis has taught me is how to live a little, lower than, I think it's taught all of us, and the other thing is I'm getting a little older. Once you get to a certain age, you have a lot of the shoes you could possibly have or clothes or whatever.
Yep.
Again, of course, the cancer thing, it's like, you're like, all I want is to lie in a pool with a pina colada in my hand. That's all. That's all I want for the rest of my life. So how can I make that happen?
I mean, I like how you said that because I think that happened to me when I hit, my mid-30s. I started thinking like, I don't really care about the car I drive or the clothes. I just want my time. That's what I want.
Yes.
So, I drive like a 1996 car. I don't care. I love it. But you know what? I have my time because I don't have to, the extra bill of having to pay a car loan.
Exactly. And God, I hate to say I hate this talk today. We're sounding like we're getting old. But but it's it's kind of like I remember being in junior high.
Right.
And going, and having been in school all those years and going, oh, God, I can't wait for this to be over. You just want your time back.
Yeah.
You want your freedom.
Right.
That becomes really important to you.
And then you're working for some dumb job with some dumb boss, and you're just like,
exactly.
Is this? And then, I'm looking over at the guy who's like 60, who's doing the same thing I'm doing. I'm like, is that me? It's like, oh, no, I can't do it,
You had a woman on one of your earlier podcasts that the lawyer that lives in Colorado, I believe, she said the greatest thing. She said something like, there's nothing worse than being a 40-hour-a-week W-2 wage earner.
Yep. It's so true.
She's absolutely right.
Yeah.
She's absolutely right.
Yeah. I mean, I know when I first started thinking about quitting my job, you're like, well, how can I get away from that paycheck? I got to have that. Like, where's money going to come from? But, it's like, you've seen, once you get started, money just starts coming, You're renting, you're doing other things.
And it's the greatest feeling having your own business. It's the greatest feeling.
Yeah.
And, Airbnb helps to facilitate that. And that's what I love about the sharing economy because, starting a business, the traditional way, it's hard. It takes cash flow, it takes capital, it takes whatever. But the sharing economy is great, for people that are struggling because, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have something.
Yeah. I mean, plus I always remind people too that just because I quit my job doesn't mean I stopped doing what I was doing. Now I can just pick and choose those jobs. So
exactly.
Now I can say no to things, and we do, and it's great. And we only take the jobs we like, and so it's good.
Because it supplements your your other businesses. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely on that path for sure.
So you're thinking about buying another place, which is awesome. Now, what about the idea of, because people do this, you become kind of like a property manager. So your friend has a house with a bungalow. He doesn't want to do it, but you could do it for him and make X percentage. Is that something?
Right.
interesting?
I have, yes, it is. And I have thought about that, and I actually have started looking at people who are putting ads out there for that exact thing, or I have thought about, marketing myself as such.
Yep.
So yes, those I have thought about freelancing, doing what I do.
Yep.
So yes, all those ideas are floating around my head right now.
So your money, if you're making, almost $4,000 a month on Airbnb, I mean, is that going towards your mortgage? Is it saving away for the house?
It's going towards anything it could go towards, really. I mean, when you start an Airbnb, initially you have to pay off your investment.
Right.
And I've read somewhere on the internet that, if you can't pay off your investment, meaning furniture, cooking utensils, whatever, in 6 months something's not right. So initially it's going to that. So we're kind of at the 6-month mark, so that's pretty much coming to an end. After that, yes, it's going to go to anything, back into my business, socking it away for a new piece of property, all that. It's going everywhere.
Yep. Now, if you do go independent and you no longer have to drive far away to work for someone else, would you start to clean the place yourself, or
no?
No, okay.
No. Yep. And the reason being is, like I said previously, I love my cleaner. I love the feeling it gives me to know that I'm treating someone, because I'm not getting treated right where I work. Right. I'm able to treat someone well, and she tells me, I get feedback. I'm treating her well. She's making a living. She loves coming here. I mean, she tells me, you're my favorite Airbnb. I love coming to your house. I hang out with her when I'm here.
Yep.
I even help her a little bit when I'm here.
Yeah.
But I don't want to clean. I mean, I love to have things clean, but I don't want to do it. Yeah. I don't want to do it.
Yep.
And I'll be honest, it's a little difficult. I mean, a glass shower is a bit difficult.
Yep.
I have a loft bed, so you can imagine and you can't stand up in the room. Right. So it's like you have to make the bed while you're on it.
Yeah.
It's a little tricky.
I mean, we have, an acre and a half of grass at this farmhouse we have, and I tried to cut it for a year. I no longer do that. I mean, I could do it, but it's just worth it, me paying, $60 a cut. I'm good to go,
Do you, I'm going to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Do you guys like cleaning, or is your cleaning getting in the way of you doing other things?
I mean, we're starting to talk about that, Like right now, we like cleaning just because we're very particular, and I don't know if we can trust somebody, but it sounds like, hearing stories like like maybe we could find someone.
No, you could,
trust,
definitely. You definitely could. And you just, like I said, you just take the time to train them.
Yeah.
You take photos of how you want things to look.
Right.
You create lists, whatever it is.
Yeah.
If you have a particular, it's not on my listing, but I have a particular way that, the photo's not on my listing.
Right.
But I have a particular way, when my guests enter the space, there's a little card for them that says, hey, there's a gift for you in the fridge. Yep. Where is the placement of that little thing?
Yep.
So after a couple of times, they will get it, and then you just, go over it with them.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's good for us, hearing that, just because we just invested so much money in that place. It's just hard for us to walk away and just be like, oh, just clean it for us. And, we like being really intimately involved, but now we're starting to be like, well, this could be done by someone else, especially since we're redoing a second place now, and now we'll have 2 places, and it would be very difficult for us to clean both of them ourselves. So.
Right. Yeah. So it becomes a time issue.
Right.
Is your time better spent cleaning your place because you want to save on the money, or but now you're going to have 2 places, so. I would definitely look into finding people in your neighborhood that are, and the other thing, like I said, it's just a great feeling helping people out.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still coming out of this economic crisis. It's still, really hard for people.
So I have 2 last questions. It's for you. One is communication. So are you getting a lot of messages on Airbnb? I mean, are you at work, answering things on your phone?
Well, that's one of the things that you think about in advance. How can I make this so I'm not getting bothered all the time while I'm on the job? So what I've done is, created a house manual that's in the guest house.
Mm-hmm.
So when people are interested in looking at, they can find out all the information they need to find out about, how the what do you call it, the induction cooker works or whatever, all that stuff. And even though the book's in there, I think I do say in my listing or in the email I send them, like, there's this to look at. Also, I try to answer all those questions up front. But again, as I told you before, like, a lot of people don't read. They don't even read the text you send them sometimes. Yep. So I don't, but they don't. Yeah, it's weird. I had one guy who didn't read, and he asked me questions, and then I'd answer him, and he didn't respond. And then I find out later he didn't read my answer. So he'd ask me again. It was really funny. But you try to answer all those questions up front in advance. So you can do this and have a 40-hour week job. You can do it.
Now that's people who are already checked in, but are you getting a lot of questions from people who are just wondering about the property, they're thinking about it, and they have all kinds of questions?
I get a lot of, not a lot, but because I'm so booked, I don't get a lot of questions because I'm so booked. But I do get on occasion, for example, I just got someone saying, and you can tell by the wording her message that they know, but they, but they still ask the question because they're trying to get in, they like your place and they know there's certain things that, for example, I don't allow children under 13 on my property. Because I feel the backyard's a little too dangerous for children. So I still get the people who are like, oh yeah, I'm coming with my 4-year-old daughter. She thinks she's 11, but no, no. Like, that's no. Yeah. But you get a little of that. Sometimes you get bizarre, funny, weird questions. I had a guy wrote me and said, hi, is your pool away from the prying eyes of the street? I was like, decline. Like, why would you want to know that?
Now, you're really booked, but it's interesting, you only book 3 months ahead at any one time. Why don't you just let it just go? Like, just get booked a year ahead. Like, why not just go crazy?
Because I have this fantasy that I'm a world-class traveler and I'm going to be stepping on a plane at any given moment, going somewhere. And so the idea of being booked that far in advance, and having to be here at that time, I don't know what's going to be happening in my life 6 months from now.
But I guess if you got your cleaner to become more of a manager, maybe you could do that. But I guess if it doesn't matter, I mean, as long as... It doesn't,
yeah. So for me, for someone I think who's especially where the climate's really important to your booking, I think it's important to be, have those dates open. But for someone like me in a major city, that people are coming to all the time, it's kind of, you kind of don't need that. It's like if I was in Vegas. If I had a place in Vegas, I wouldn't have to have 6 months open. You just don't have to do it.
Yeah, we have a friend that has an Airbnb in it's New Orleans. She was one of the first people we interviewed, and she does the same thing. She only books 2 or 3 months ahead, just because as soon as she unblocks a month, I mean, it's just like turning on the spigot, so that's really lucky.
Yeah, I mean, look at my friend. He got a booking in 10 minutes.
So at the end of this month, so when April 1st comes, you'll then open up April, May. You'll open up August, or is that?
So right July? Now, I think. Well, if we're in March right now, that's a good point. I should be open right now for the next 3 months.
So right now, people are booked in April, obviously in May. So you'll open June up. So it just that happens automatically on Airbnb. So it does.
If you tell it'll just always you tell Airbnb on the website, I only want to be booked 3 months out. So it automatically opens up your calendar 3 months out. So it's something automated that you don't have to even think about.
Got it. Okay, I didn't know that. Oh, that is cool.
Yeah.
Now, you have Instabook, or everyone has to kind of pass your muster?
Well, I did. I'll be honest. I tried Instabook once, and it's great. I think it's a great thing for people who are having problems getting bookings. But I feel like Airbnb should, how do I explain this? I think they should expand on the Instant Book thing,
Right.
Instant Book. I feel that, there should be a little more parameters with Instant Book. Like, for example, I got an instant booking for someone who had only one review. And that one review was kind of okay.
Right.
But this person was new to the system, didn't have a lot of reviews, and that was a nightmare.
So kind of like,
yeah,
you can Instabook, but you need to have 5 reviews.
I require they have 4 good reviews.
Right.
Yeah, because there's, if they have only one review and it's not the greatest, you could run into an issue.
Real quick, does a guest have 5? Do they have stars, or it's just? I mean, there's no good or bad, right? It's just your interpretation of it. Is that correct?
Let me see. I haven't looked at it. I do look at it. Like when I get a booking for somebody, I always go look at
who they
if they're experienced Airbnb-er, if they have good reviews. So it helps you to go, oh yeah, this person has 3 reviews.
Of course.
They're in. So sometimes I will book for someone who's new if I have a feeling they'll be okay, but I do let them know. So I ask them and go, hey, are you new to the Airbnb system? And if they say, our platform, and if they say yes, I say, okay, we need you to just definitely read our email that we sent you. It has a lot of important information for you, and that kind of thing. You have to. I'm not saying you can't use Instant Book. Instant Book is great if you're struggling and you need to get bookings. Definitely do Instant Book, but I just think Airbnb should expand it.
No, I agree. Yeah, I mean, I think in a lot of things, Airbnb needs to allow more of its granular, its control over bookings and times and stuff like that.
And I want to say something about Airbnb that is just, with my experience, I found it to be so amazing at. I have had experience with other sharing economy platforms. What Airbnb does with their hosts is an amazing thing. Like, their support for hosts is amazing. Like, you could call, I don't know if you know this, but you could call them at any time and talk to a live person and just have a conversation like, hey, I have this thing going on. What do you think? Or, hey, I don't know about this situation. How should I handle it? And they're amazing. Airbnb has given their support team total control to make their own decisions.
Now, real quick, neither of us are paid by Airbnb, so these are real experiences.
I am not paid by Airbnb at all. I'm just saying this because I wish more companies were like this.
Our experience with Airbnb is it's been so seamless that we've never really had to call them, but it's good to know we can. That's good.
Oh, it's great. I mean, because once I got my cleaners up and running, I'm booking, so I have checkout at 11, check-in at 3.
Right.
So I have people right after each other.
Right.
So it's important sometimes to get quick answers.
Yeah.
So, and especially if you run into problems and that you've never had to deal with, smoking on the property or whatever.
Right. So why don't we talk about some of those problems, like, the dangers I hear of people that have, urban rentals, like someone books and they have a porn shoot. I mean, are you having those kind of problems?
Yeah. So I highly recommend to anyone who's considering doing Airbnb to, Google is your friend. YouTube is your friend. You should read everything you could possibly read about doing this in your neighborhood. And so, yes, I have seen those things. And one time we had a couple who had a bizarre blue light emanating from the guest house. I'm like, my husband and I were like, what is it? An alien? Like, what? I'm like, maybe it's one of those daylight lights that, but so it made me think, and no funny business was going on, but because of what I read previously, I'm like, I need to put that in my listing, like no a lot of people put no parties, please, but we also have no photo shoots, no video shoots of any kind on the property. Yep. Yeah.
Now, my last question is, so, we talk talk about Airbnb, and that's kind of and that's kind of our main way to book. But we also have our place listed on VRBO or HomeAway, and we get maybe 20% of our bookings through that. It's mainly like families, it seems like. Are you booked anyplace else? Are you listed anywhere?
I am not, and I thought about doing that, but, once I started to get booked up in the first month...
There's no point.
It's so unnecessary. I don't need to do that. Like, right. I mean, I am... I've got bookings coming out of my eyeballs. Yeah. Like, I don't need to do that.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Airbnb. Sorry. I don't know if they'll change it. I mean, their fees are so small. I mean, I find like they take very little out of our profit that it's not worth us thinking about trying to start our own website and book ourselves, But I wonder if they'll ever change that once they kind of like go public or own the market or whatever.
Well, yeah, so that's for me, having the experience of working with Uber specifically, that's always a worry. Like, are they going to raise their prices? Because if we all of a sudden have to pay hotel tax, right, and we're paying income tax,
right, and
I don't know,
right,
it doesn't become feasible for a lot of people if Airbnb raises their cut.
Right.
I don't know, they're such a big company now, and like, do they really need it? But, everyone always thinks that, but I'm sure they're smart enough to figure it out. Like, can we even do this? Yeah. Will people be knocked out of the system if we do this?
Or will other sites come along and take their business, Will people jump over to other sites?
And they will. And that's just the way of the economy. Our economy ebbs and flows, and so if somehow something happened and, people would maybe consider I can do this on my own, or I could go to another site or whatever. Yeah. But so I think they're smarter than that. I think they know they got a good thing. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
I think they'll do okay,
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for talking to me. It's been a good long conversation, but man, it's cool to hear that there's someone on the exact other side of the country trying to do what we're doing. It's not just about money; it's about getting that time back.
Yeah, it is. It's about your quality of life. It really is. And while you're trying to make a great quality of life for yourself, you're giving a little gift to other people that you've never met. It's like, you know what I mean? Like
that it's important for us is that, it's great that we don't have to work for other people, but we do miss the camaraderie of working with people. And this is kind of our way of doing that. We're in our home in a little small town, but we can do the podcast, meet people, talk to people, and feel like we're all kind of in a little workplace,
Yeah. It's really fun. I mean, that's all I can say to anybody who's thinking about doing this. If you're going to enjoy making it, creating it, and then you enjoy people, it's just going to be fun. It's a really fun thing.
Okay, well, have a good Saturday.
Okay. I'll talk to you later. Thank you.
See ya.